You know, what I tell people is you know, you can't take what television or the movies have out there, or you're dealing with real people in bad situations, and every law enforcement officer has to find a way to make that situation better and to help whoever they can. Even if an individual has committed a crime or has done something wrong, there is a way to treat that individual respectfully and help that individual, or hopefully help that individual get help.
What's going on, guys? Time for another episode of Behind the Uniforms. I am honored and excited to be out here at the SEAL Museum in Florida with this gentleman. Can you tell them all who you are?
Yeah, great to be here. My name's David Thompson. I'm a retired major with the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office here, and also a veteran of the United States Marine Corps.
Excellent. All right, sir. So we came out here with guys at the ASR. You know Hector, I understand?
I do. Hector and I have known each other for quite some time.
Awesome. All right, so tell me a little bit about your background. How'd you get to where you are today?
Well, I started out when I got out of high school. I entered the law enforcement profession, attended the Law Enforcement Academy, and ultimately came to work at the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office in Florida. About 750 employees there. Worked in every billet there, from special operations teams, bomb squads, hostage negotiations, all the way up through uniformed patrol, traffic, road patrol, investigations, and special investigations and/or covert investigations. Was promoted up through the ranks and became the director of law enforcement, which I spent my last 5 years as the director of law enforcement for the county.
Awesome. All right, so I don't know if these guys told you, but typically the way that we do is we talk about a good day and about a bad day.
Sure.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I always like to start off on a good foot. So I think the thing with the law enforcement profession, you have many days when you see the downside of people or the downside of what's going on. And, you know, law enforcement officers are called normally when there's a problem. So the trick to that is taking that situation and making the bad situation a good situation. So one of my most memorable times was as a young officer. I responded to a call with a young child in a swimming pool. And when I got there, I ended up having to, strip the gun belt off, go in the pool, and pull the child out, administered CPR, and ultimately it ended up being a good day because the child survived, and as far as I know is, living a healthy life.
That's awesome. That's incredible. How'd it feel knowing that, you gave this child and their family a second chance?
You don't think about those things, and anybody in this profession, whether you're military or law enforcement, you don't think about those things. You just act, and I think, that's what happens. And then afterwards you realize what happened, and it hits you. And it really hits you here in your heart, and you know, wow, that's why I'm here.
It's awesome. Awesome. Want to talk about a bad day?
Yeah, and I might even get choked up. There was a young man that I ended up hiring on the job. His name was Gary Morales, and he ultimately, I was the Special Investigations Commander. He is fresh out of the Air Force, and he looked very young, so we put him in the high schools undercover. And I actually played his father in the undercover operation. Unfortunately, ultimately, Gary was promoted to sergeant ultimately, and he was shot and killed. He was gunned down in the line of duty. And that struck me very hard, and to this day, it's very, very painful when you lose someone that you work with, but also someone that you're close with like that I had a direct relationship with. That's the darkest day.
We put on the news these days and we see what seems to be attack after attack across the country on law enforcement. What message can you give to people who just see the news but they don't actually process the fact that these are lives?
You know, what I tell people is you know, you can't take what television or the movies have out there. Well, you're dealing with real people in bad situations, and every law enforcement officer has to find a way to make that situation better and to help whoever they can. Even if an individual has committed a crime or has done something wrong, there is a way to treat that individual respectfully and help that individual, or hopefully help that individual get help. Sometimes it's not always pleasant, and sometimes it's not always without physical action. But ultimately, the goal is always to help everyone, including the individual.
Speaking of lives, where are we right now for people who have never been out here?
We are at the National Navy UDC SEAL Museum. This is the birthplace of the Navy SEAL. This is hallowed ground, and where we're sitting now is the memorial, and back here is all the names etched of all the Navy SEALs who have lost their lives in the line of duty. It's very humbling to sit here, but it's also an honor to sit here on this hallowed ground.
Why'd you guys end up putting it in here?
Well, I believe 2016, 2017, across the United States, there was 50 active shooter situations with 943 casualties, 221 deaths. That's a horrendous amount. So there's an absolute need for something to help protect folks. Why is it important here at the Navy SEAL Museum? As we all know, the operations that the SEALs involved in and the individuals that they are forced to deal with makes this solid and hallowed ground a potential target. So it's vital that it's protected. And what ASR does and what it's able to do is it gives training to the individuals that are in that establishment so they know what to do. It creates a disruption to the active shooter, God forbid it happens. But it also immediately alerts the police so they can get here. There's no middleman. I can't tell you how vital that is after retiring as a police officer, how vital that time is. Again, 943 casualties, 221 deaths. Every minute that the police get here sooner, that law enforcement arrives to engage that subject, that number will go down. And that's what ASR does. It brings that number down.
Awesome. Guys, if you've never seen the show before, we ask you at the end here to just hit the share button on this video. A great organization out here. If you've never had the opportunity or the blessing to come out and check it out, I encourage you to do so. But thank you all so much for watching. Brother, it was, well, you got the busted arm going on right now. Thank you so much.
We're good.
Guys, God bless America.